well fed and hydrated for this next session here. So I know I was able to welcome you all earlier, but really happy to have you be part of our session. We're going to be talking about the 10-point plan, which is something that if you haven't heard of, you will hear a lot about as CFPS members. And I'm with me is John Caro, who's working as a college for readiness advisor in a school district in Malone, which is way up close to the Canadian border in the north country, really far.
It's super far.
It's probably already snowing. Yeah,
calendar, so yeah.
Yeah.
But
And then Hannah Ford-Green, who works as a program director in a number of our schools, but also has been pulled in to do a lot more around college and corporate partnerships, business partnerships, specifically with a cluster that we have in a rural economic development grant. So welcome to all of you from all of us. And we also have our virtual participants here, so you'll hear us sort of talking in person and instructing virtual participants as well. So you're working on it. Raise your hands. Have you heard of the 10-point plan? Okay, that's a relief. If you haven't, like I said, we'll be talking. That is the entire conversation for the next hour and 15 minutes. That happened last time. I just tested this, it didn't work, but yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. Okay. So the very first thing I'm going to ask you to do is actually talk to another person in this room. Okay. And I want you to talk about what does it really mean to be college and career ready? Because the 10-point plan is designed to help students become college and career ready. But do we really know what that means, what that looks like? So I want you just with a partner, pair share, people behind you, whoever, at least one other person, talk about kind of what you feel like based on your experiences, your perception, your observations, what it means to be college and career ready. So we'll give you a couple minutes to do that. For those participating virtually, you can add it to the chat box. I feel like these conversations could go on and on and on, right? Which is great. But I'm really interested in what you, your partner group, what did you come up with? Either a phrase or words or thoughts, knowledge that students need to be positive for ready. Soft skills. Essential skills. Right? Yes, so the non-academic skills, like the essentials, right? Teamwork, leadership, agility. What else do they need?
Well, we talked about a couple of things, sort of like reading and everything. In terms of self-confidence. Developing that state of mind and being able to feel comfortable in your environment and stay focused. Self-determination and motivation.
Right, so this, right, perseverance of one of our essential skills, leadership. Feeling empowered, having that self-confidence, persevering when things are hard or if you're unsure, right? So again, some skills. Anything else we talked about?
Having that conversation about bullying, because she's something. And then you want to go out there and something creative and that, you know, say that they're like, wow, this is that, who did it? But what's out there, what are their options?
Great, so it's exposing students to all the opportunities, the pathways, how to connect their interests to a potential career field. Okay, what is a college campus like? How do you feel on the college campus? Right, do you want to be close to home, far from home? So it's building their knowledge and giving them opportunities to be exposed to all of the different pathways, career and college. Anything else you want to share? Anything?
Wendy and I were talking about resiliency, and so part of that comes to mind out of the essential skills of networking. Because when I went to college, there wasn't that much preparation. It was like painful, and I did to register and did it. So being resilient, maybe I don't know, maybe given, but if I had had more opportunities, such as CFDS and learn how to network before I did
And knowing how to manage maybe some uncomfortable situations. There's a student that we worked with years ago. She lived in Kentucky. And she was first in her family to go to college. And she was very excited. There were a lot of people that were supporting her and encouraging her. And she got to campus the first day and she couldn't find a parking spot. You know what she did? She left. And you know, that's not her fault. it's because she wasn't or wasn't feeling like she was equipped with the tools and the information and the confidence and the knowledge of what to do, right? So it's how instilling that resiliency, the agility, networking, and skill. So skill exposure. Did any group talk about a support system, people, mentors, right? People, anyone to share anything?
What comes to mind is like having resources and knowing where to reach out. That's an important, really responsibility is your ability to respond. So if you're able to respond to obstacles and problems that come up and know where you need to reach out and find your resources, that's where you're ready. Absolutely.
Also, the desire for motivation, that yeah, they can handle other things, bring the same, minimize it, and want to do that, right?
Right. Yeah, and you know what? We work with elementary, middle, and high school students, right? Most 18, 17, 16, they don't know what they want to do. I mean, they might think they know what some students are like, yep, this is what I want to do, this is the path I'm gonna take. But most students at all those age and grades, it's a lot, like, there's a lot to explore, and there's a lot to think about, and there's an information gap. And that's something too. I mean, you can't make decisions about your pathway if you don't know what the options are, or what questions to even ask, or what steps you're supposed to take, right? So I think that, and I'm sure every group talked about a lot of different things. And when we think about, okay, what does it mean for our students to be college and ready? That can feel like a lot, right? Just now, everything, okay, they need skills, they need people, they need information, right? It goes on and on and on. But that's one of the reasons why we developed this 10-point plan, because if you strip it all back, it's really simple. They need people, role models, mentors, teachers, advisors, people, at least one person that can say, I believe in you. You have a lot of options. Let's go look at those options together. You might not have all the answers, their family members might not have the answers, their peer mentors might not have the answers, their college mentors might not have the answers. But if you instill that belief in these students that there's something out there and these are all the options for you, let's go explore them together. Right? So they need a support system, and it could be one person, just one. If it's more, it's even better. One person that's saying, I believe in you, and you have some really great things that are going to happen to you after high school. Let's talk about those things. They need exposure. They need to be on college campus. They have to be able to see, feel it. And let me back up a little bit and say that when I use the term college, we're all inclusive. I'm talking about anything post-secondary. Training programs, certification programs, trade, technical vocational schools, 2-year, 4-year, military. So that's what we're talking about here, right? And every student should have exposure to those possibilities, those options, because then if they have information, they can make a decision that's best for them. So it's a support, someone mentoring, role modeling for them, guiding them, information, building their knowledge, and then skills. Academics, of course, they need certain academic skills to graduate from high school. But the other skills, the essential skills, will really help them be better prepared for those transitions. So when they show up on campus and they don't have a parking spot, they don't leave. They figure it out. They ask for help. They don't give up. They find solutions. So when you look at, going back to the 10-point plan, everything that's on this, we basically took that feeling of like, for a student to be college ready, they need to be all these things. This is shrunk it down, so we're saying, if we can involve students in these activities, these objectives, these elements, they're going to be better prepared for college and career. So that's how it's connected, right? And a little bit more about these items. These are things that many of our schools are already doing a lot of stuff. Right? How many of you bring students to a college campus? Yeah, that's happening. Check that one, right? How many of you are able to show students virtual college tours? Right? Maybe it's through class. We have a school that was projecting it at lunchtime. While kids are just sitting there eating. You know, they might not have been focused on it the whole time, but they're listening, they're getting something, right? You got a whole lunchroom of kids that just watched a video from, you know, the UH Manoa. That's incredible. So, you know, when you're looking at this, and we're gonna give you time to like really think about what's happening in your school or your partnerships that's already happening. Because what I think you'll find is that you're doing a lot of this already. But now it's a question like, how do we dig deeper? How do we get more creative with places where there are gaps? And how do we build and strengthen the places that are already in place? So we'll come back to this. That's kind of a quick introduction. You have this in your folder. So we'll continue to reference this. You should all have it with you. So in terms of, like I said, I always say it's so simple. It's so simple. If you ask me my favorite quote, it'd probably be simple is powerful. And I truly believe that because, you know, CFBS, it's all, you know, practice. I'm like, the practices are simple. It's mentoring, it's pathways, it's essential skills. 10-point plan, it's simple, right? And I know it doesn't feel that way all the time, but I wanted to explain to you how organic and simple this is in terms of implementing. The very first thing that you should do if you're looking at how to utilize this 10-point plan and really integrate it into your school and engage your students. Take that inventory, go back, go through this full list and with others. How are students building their knowledge? You know, is it a check? Is it check minus, check plus? That's simple. 1 through 5. Yeah. Whatever, however you want to kind of rate yourself. It's like sort of a self-assessment, right? In your mind, how does your school community or how are your students engaged in each of these principles? Taking inventory. It's looking at everything that you do around college and career and figuring out how it works, how it fits into this, how it's kind of connected. And again, you'll realize that you're doing a lot of this already. The language. So, not to pick on you, Nikki, but soft skills, right? And those skills, soft skills, life skills, what we call essential skills, those are absolutely critical competencies for our students to develop. But in terms of language, and it's not about branding, you know, CFBS or our practices or essential skills, it's just using common language so students can keep making the connection, right? So you can refer to things as jobs of the future, right? There might be other terms that are used or for essential skills. Students might already be engaged in like skills that or have like words that you use for your school motto, right? Integrity, responsibility, whatever that may be. Help connect it, right? So it's using this language so that when you're engaging students in these pieces, they see the connection. It's clear clear, it's streamlined, right? And not, like I said, it doesn't have to be exactly this language, it's what works for you in your school, in your communities. How are you branding your own mission and vision around college and career, but kind of stick to that, using similar language, common language. The whole two birds with one stone phenomenon, where many of these have overlap. So we're not saying, hey, to implement these, go line by line. We're saying that, hey, you're bringing students to a college campus. That's number. Should have it memorized. That's number 7, bringing to a college campus with their mentors. That's number 2. And they're building their college knowledge because that's what you do if you're visiting a college campus. That's number 1, right? And while they're there, we're going to talk about skills they need to be successful in college. That's number 4. And we're going to have someone, students or faculty member, talk about different careers in the field that they study. That one activity, it's all 5. It's half of these objectives. So it's being creative in how you're pulling these pieces together. So it's not just like, oh, we're trying to meet you wherever you are, where you're starting, but also help you see that there's a lot of overlap, and there ought to be, right? We don't want these kind of functioning in silos. They should be everything you plan this year with students around Project Readiness should be able to hit a number of these points. And the last one, tapping experts, partners, colleges, community members, for faculty, staff, parents. I would say I'm not as comfortable talking to students about the financial literacy. Bring in a local banker. Bring someone in from your community who can talk to students, talk to families, right? Vaccinate, that's something that's pretty common. But it's using other people to help provide the information or the mentorship or develop the skills. Use CFPS program, use our resources online, use eMentors. Use your network, the networks you have in your school. Use your own story. Use your own, how did you pick for college? What was your career track? Share that with students. We're experts in our own right. So it's this idea of you don't have to be well versed in all of this to be effective. You pull other people in, right? So that's why in my mind, I think it's simple, right? Use other people. You do lots of things in one activity, but you look at what you already have in place and kind of scaffold it. Oh, great. Okay, so we have an activity for you, which is good because you look a little sleepy. Each person is going to take one of these. Not a whole packet, just one. Yes. They're not on that side. Or whatever happened with one per person. All right. This took me all Friday afternoon. Just joking. Okay. This is an opportunity for to really like the inventory. I think we're going to share some activities or scenarios And these are real, these are things schools, CFPS schools are doing. And if you feel like it fits your number on a 10-point plan, you're gonna throw your sign up, okay? So be familiar with your number and how it relates to the 10 point, okay? Actually, time. Copy, this copy, if you can read it.
Yeah.
There you go. So,
I'm not in a great spot.
So this is the chance, again, as we share these activities, you might say, oh, we do that, make a note of it, that's your inventory. Keep track of these things, okay, because that's gonna help in the planning once you meet. But this is also a way to sort of demonstrate how these overlap. Okay, so Pam,
Okay, our first scenario, two small schools join together for mentor training and essential skills activities with a CFES program director throughout the year. I'll repeat it. Two small schools join together for mentor training and essential skills activities with a CFES program director throughout the year.
great. So it's fours, twos, threes. You got a one over there, I can't see it on far, it's terrible.
So
If anyone needs to be close, I can. I'm moving easily.
Anyone else? Five, two, five, okay. So. Any others? Yeah. Four. Building skills. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. There's an optional college and career pathways focused lunchtime group for any student to attend. There's an optional college and career pathways focused lunch time group for any student to attend.
Yeah. Definitely. Nine.
Got an 8, a 1,
You got definitely a one,
3,
9, 5, 3, 2. Mentoring, right?
all right. 8th graders visit a college campus and speak with the financial aid office.
Financial aid, Big.
7, we've got 3. 7, 1,
Got a lot of different numbers.
no, I'm trying, 10. So let's not forget about 10, because this is really important. Scholars teach what they learn from younger peers. What does that look like? It means that if you can only bring 50 students to a college campus, they come back, they should be able to share with their peers, what was it like? It could be informal, it could be more formal, right? It's having students that maybe they're assigned adults as mentors. Make those students peer mentors to the younger students. Okay, so it's going back to that idea of, student leadership, students feeling empowered, but bringing others with them, pulling them all up.
All right. Middle schools go and visit a high school, college, and career fair.
9, 5, 1, 7, 8, sorry. 10,
So 4, 3, 5, 2.
great.
A college admissions counselor visits our school. Any student can sign up.
9, 1, 3, 10, 5.
There's 2 over there.
Great.
9 through 12th graders visit a college campus and visit with professors to learn about that department.
9, 7, 4, 5, 1. Are they getting mentored? Yes. Might be a one-shot deal, but it's still mentoring.
Fifth graders serve as reading buddies to the kindergartners.
Two. Could it be one? Could be one, right? You don't have to build students' knowledge around college. Doesn't mean you have to sit down and talk about what's your plan, what's your post-secondary plan, right? It could be, and it might, you know, with elementary school or any grade, that conversation is a little bit different. But you can infuse a little bit of that, right? It could be before they're even reading together, the teacher says something. Or that instructor says something that makes that connection, and then they go and read. Okay?
A school district hosts local veterans to breakfast at the high school for Veterans Day.
Yeah, jobs, future or good fitting jobs in the future, attempts, supporting peers. 9, post-secondary study, yeah. 10. 2, mentoring. I told you you have this memorized, but.
Great. During advisory time at school, we do an essential skills activity found on the CFES website.
So you got 1. So if they're developing essential skills, they're also building knowledge, right? Maybe they're doing it with their peers. You can connect it to careers of the future. How is it going to translate? It's part of the scholar map. Which, by the way, is this document. Scholar map, which will remind me to mention something about it.
Elementary students have pen pals that are community members. I used to.
So we see 5, we see 2, in the back 1. You see 10, what's your, like, it's like, oh, the blue on orange, is bad blue on there. Okay, good. 10, 9.
All 5th and 9th graders complete the Brilliant Career Lab at the guidance office.
Do you know what the Brilliant Career Lab is? No. Okay. The Brilliant Career Lab is a career exploration tool website that we have that's free to students. And basically what they do, there's a 60-question interest inventory. It's quick. It's like using emoji faces and smiley face, you know, to determine what their response would be. And it's sort of like immediate, what comes to mind quickly, like, do you like to work with your hands? Do you like to be outdoors? So, and basically, once they complete that survey, it filters potential careers that fit those interests. So it creates a student profile, and then it lays out all of these careers that fit their responses. There are features where they can actually filter even further. There's a STEM component, so they can see specifically which of the STEM field, what careers are in the STEM field that might fit, might match. Additional careers that are similar, the skills they need, and the pathway, post-secondary pathway or training or certification programs that they would need, they want to pursue that. So that's a really great tool. It's actually a really good tool to use with students who like might not know where to start, because careers and learning about themselves, what they might be interested in is more interesting to them than talking about going to college. Okay? So you can explore something that they're, you know, all these careers that are seem like a good fit for them based on this inventory, and then work backwards. Okay, you want to be, this seems like a career that you're interested in pursuing, you're passionate about, or it's matching your skill set. These are the other steps you have to take. These are the courses you have to take. This is what you probably major in, right? These are the colleges that have opportunities in those fields. So, so there's job outlook. There's again all kinds of elements to it, but it's a quick registration for students. It's their email address or PIN that they keep track of. Maybe. And they can go back to it, they can keep revisiting and use that tool, so. If they're doing that, they're also completing a section of the scholar map that's aligned. They're also learning about. They're building their knowledge. They're maybe doing it with a mentor. Yep. Really career lab. Yep.
It's right to the website.
Yeah, if we have time, we'll pull it up, but it's
Really?
under the pathway section of our website. And it, like I said, it's a really good tool.
I don't think, no, just the website.
Just a website, yeah. And it's appropriate, I think, you know, for high school and middle school, it's easy for them to navigate and understand. I've even used it with lower, like upper elementary school, just as like a conversation starter, like, let's explore a career and talk about it.
We have a career at the end of the year. And that choose which like group of events they want to visit. But in order to choose a professional, we have to do that at program. And then they learn that, oh, I'm good at education and mentoring and this, that, and so they take a group of professionals that follow that category. And that's how they manage to, yeah, that's how we manage to be all. Yeah, that's very helpful.
It's a great, you know, you can stretch this activities out throughout the school year. It could be kind of like a one-shot deal. It could be incorporated into their like maybe personal transition plan if they're, you know, senior seminar classes. So there are lots of ways you can utilize this tool, but.
Yeah, and I found that a lot of high schoolers have if they have a major in mind and a college in mind, they often don't do the homework to know whether or not the school they want to go to even offer. This is a perfect thing to just align them with the career path they want in schools, and especially in New York State that have that availability. So just a nice little, especially at high school, because a lot of them do know, just kind of gives them a very direct answer.
Okay, we just have a couple more things.
A seventh grade class created CFES STEM Olympics within their school.
I like that number 4 in the back of this authority. She did it. Oh, that's sweet. Great, so you got 4. 5, thank you. And 1, 4,
We have
5,
7.
10, 7.
Oh, no, sorry, my bad, it's not a.
Oh.
Because mine's college visits, but that's, yeah, sorry, my bad.
In spirit.
Great, good.
During English class, the teacher asked the students to complete the CCR map for homework. For English class, the teacher asked the students to complete the CCR map for homework.
That's this map. I mean, it's hard to edit one big one, but it's all of them.
All right, my last one, community mentor volunteers come to school in the evening to be trained and meet with their mentees and their families.
5, 2, 10, 1, 4, 3, 3.
Yes.
9. Okay. Thank you, John, your arm's tired.
No, I'm super strong.
Okay, so. What does this mean? What is this, like, what's the point of that activity?
Show stuff, sure, when I'm saying, how is that different needs of everyone? May not be thinking that we are, but we are, yeah, just even talking to them.
Exactly. Yeah. What else? Nothing.
Just one activity into.
Yeah.
Incorporates a lot of the different.
Great, and that's what I'm saying, you know, think about this as a organic list, right? There's a lot of space to interpret. That's not cheating. That's being resourceful and efficient, right, and effective. So continue to that process of when, again, we need here to go back to, hey, you're already doing this stuff. And what you're not doing, focus on that first. That's where the gap is, right? Focus on that, but look at, if you already have other things in place, how can you pile it in, pile it on, against, kind of layer it so that you're getting. And you might be better at some of these than the others, and that's okay too. And that's what we're all learning and pulling resources and doing this collectively because we know there are a lot of moving parts. But this, going back to what I was saying before, kind of keeps us organized, right? Like you've got some marching orders, if you will. This is a very like tangible steps that you can take with students, and if they're engaged in these at any level, you're supporting their cause and their readiness. So going back to this, is it the last one? Sorry. I forgot what okay, so, we wanted to give you a chance to talk a little bit too. So sorry, what we're gonna have you do is kind of continue that, it's a little bit inventory I keep talking about, but being able to talk with other people about what you're doing. I think is important because I think that just makes it feel like, okay, we're doing a lot, or, oh, we don't know how to do that, what are you doing? Okay, so we're gonna give you a chance to talk with, I would maybe each table just turn around to your larger group, so it's 2 tables for the conversation. Talk about anything on that plan, what are you already doing, maybe it's best practices, or where are the places where you need help, and you might be able to borrow some ideas. So, because if you take an inventory, it supports that implementation of these elements. So we're gonna give you some time to do that. Talk, share, create some buzz in the room. We'll get too rowdy, your next door gets mad at us. But think about it, talk about it, and we'll be milling around to answer any questions and whatever. Has a really amazing big idea you want to hear of the rest of us. Anyone?
I'll share, I'm very proud of what you've done. Dave, I'm the middle school with the Pennsylvania. One of the things we did a couple of years ago was got involved with CSD at the high school level. And was the assistant principal at the time, and we were speaking about the we took a lot of the resources that were on the website and we developed some great essentials for the class. In which is paid very fast. And we'll see if we do that. Probably won't be able to make it worse, certainly. So the other half of the course would be financial literacy. And one of the things that we want to do is teach kids how to always get set. So the future development chart and that we will show chart and get you that presented right here. And so we have a 12-year-old presenting to me, the superintendent, and the others for the school improvement. And we're going to kids that have their plan during the rest of the year, and they have to be paid. So last year was we haven't had school store in 30 years, so they implemented the school store from scratch. We provided them a floor in the hallway. And they had everything from build the shelving to purchase orders. Why 12-year-olds are not Wall Street bankers, but they're doing purchase orders, they're doing inventory. Some stickers that I have on my computer. So I'm really, really proud of them. They're doing just a fantastic job. What I am looking for is better ways to do mentoring at the middle school level. And not just mentoring for the kids, but also teaching that on the performance. So we need to really get some ideas that can help them middle of the university.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Would any other group like to share some of what they talked about? We've had a lot to talk about. I had to stop you.
All right, so I'm gonna go to Solomon.
You leaders.
I'll keep on top. I'm a counselor in the school. And something that you brought up is like how we're mentoring them. So on our end, we decided to have teachers do the advisory program is we call it college, but it's really just mentorship class. And that's where we've been adding the potential skills classes along with social emotional learning. So on our end, we're putting together, preparing up some essential skills. And it works out in the sense that mentors are kind of feeling like that. In my, because I'm a school counselor, they're like the extension of like a counseling program. You just do that over 3 minutes, then you have to counselor. So it works out that they can actually speak one-on-one to the students. So they'll have lessons on one day for one class break, and then another one class like they'll start doing sessions with the students, and they'll go over kind of like preliminary questions of how they're doing, the goals, talking about instead of talking about smart goals, future plan, and they'll go through the whole class. So There's no progress, that idea. And at the end, what they smoke into law, and then it's that kind of looking, that's supposed to number one again, and seeing how things have changed, how it's still going. For things having any challenges. I think my kind of struggle or challenge is keeping the teacher on board with this kind of program. I do have a lot of, there's a lot of turnover, and so a lot of our teachers are brand new. And so they all agree that the English learning is good, and that intention skills are good, and the college career is good. But when we put it all together into this kind of program, it's like, oh wait, I can get changed. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm having a mentor. There's a lot of self-doubt about how good a mentor a teacher can be. And even when I think we're all like, you all put that down, like, I don't think I've been a mentor, and then that's where you get a lot of teachers that kind of take a step back and they're like, I don't think this is for me, let me try something different. So I feel like that we have a system in place, but our challenges and keeping everyone on board and keeping that motivation going. That's not the person week, like, yeah, let's do it. Then after that, you have all the behavioral issues, you have teachers going to the mentors to tell them how they're considering their mentee is you have to get your math class, and you're like, well, that's I'm social studies teacher at the end of the day, but I don't do that. You know, there's a lot in that, but I do like the system that we have, which is that teachers are and working that split and have a role that you can go to speak with and there's that relationship there. It's just how do we maintain that.
And just two thoughts, because they're both mentoring related also. If you have an established mentoring program, that can be the space where a lot of the other 9 points come into play. So if you have that infrastructure, that's a really good place to start to use the 10 points as the topics of conversation or the activities that they can do. On the other hand, mentoring is one of the more challenging of our practices because we talk about this all the time. There are a lot of logistics involved. There's scheduling, right? Mentoring, you have to be really creative. So if so again, those who might already have mentoring in place, you have a space where you can start to infuse all of these pieces in the conversations. But I also think that there's probably mentoring happening, we just don't call it mentoring. So sort of, there's these informal connections, whether peer-to-peer or teachers as mentors or visitors that are coming in. I just want to make a point with mentoring, it's a bigger conversation. But any interaction that we're having with students, or a peer mentor with students, or college student, right? That's mentoring. They're having a conversation. So to your point, I think it could be like if you say, okay, teachers, you're going to be mentors now. These are the things you're going to talk about. That's helpful for some, right? Like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm capable of doing that. But to get around that, I mean, sometimes it's better if you say, hey, you're already meeting these students, you've got a nice relationship where it's built into the social emotional learning curriculum or the study hall or advisory, or homeroom or lunch dates, whatever it may be, and make it less formal. They're not expected to talk about anything specific, just sit and talk with kids. And you know what the best starting point is? Tell them your story. Ask your when you go to your students, when you ask them if they've ever asked their teacher where they went to college, did they want to get into teaching? How did they pay for it? Students don't ask. You have to share. And that's your story, right? So it's more comfortable for an educator in a mentoring mentee exchange to maybe share a little bit about themselves first and let it progress from there. Doesn't have to be, we got to hit all these points and that those times we have together. So that's just one suggestion to deal with some of the mentoring elements. Anyone else want to share either an idea or a thought or exchange from your group? Please. We'll go to the back first.
Should we say our group had a couple of schools that are going to say yes. And just mentioning career lab and activities. Just reiterating how really fun and important this to be to help the students understand what pathway looks like for them. And then just how to build to the structure and where activities.
We talked a little bit about differences in our programs, how sometimes we have a class period that's dedicated to CSS, and sometimes those activities have to be integrated into the school day, and how that flexibility has to exist if we want our programs to thrive. And then our focus landed on a beautiful initiative that Ms. Roberts here shared with us, about, well, I don't know if he wants to do that a little bit. It was centered around, yeah.
I love this group. It made me feel so comfortable in my emotional state. Tara, I've been with you all since 2004. I'm writing a book. The name of it is Wadley is a Gold Mine. We produce global and productive citizens. I couldn't have done it without you guys. I got airline pilots, doctors, assistant principals. Something's missing. So out of my book, I developed this 2 mornings ago, 4:30 in the morning.
You're like Rick.
And the school live. And it talks about, instead of using essential skills, I'm using pillars of support. Our children need a little bit more. Conflict resolution, respect for one another, stop the killing and gun violence, suicide, mental health, and because of CFPS, I'm able to develop these skills. I already talked to the deputy, and I'm here to speak with your mother. Gave me courage. And I said, you know what? And then I told them sorry. They said, you don't have to say you're sorry. This is what I'm producing. Because you all have done an amazing job. And my children, I have 2 of them with me. But the grandbaby, they didn't tell she was my grandbaby until she graduated. I didn't tell that. Graduated from Syracuse, she's a clinical analysis, came to CFPS. I had Jose, who graduated in '97, top flight students. Our program is weekend watch, we got our shirts on, but I'm back.
Love having you back.
And I want to thank you all.
Thank you.
So, we don't do this, you're doing it. You are doing it. We provide the framework. And maybe some inspiration, an extra resource. You're doing the work. We're just trying to keep it organized for you. So thank you for sharing, Dolores, and can't wait for your talk to come out. You'll be the next keynote speaker. And for our other groups who have shared their ideas, again, I think these are ongoing conversations. They're just starting, right? But a little bit, and I know this is a lot of text on the screen here, but just to kind of bring it back to the fact that, students we know why we're doing it. We know why the 10 points are important. We know how they relate to college for readiness, but we have to make it relevant to students. And help them understand why these points why they're engaged in these things. But these are just a couple of best practices that we pulled. And it's a lot of different things here. I think the most important is to be able to find that space in your school day to implement these things. And it's not a new space. You're looking at what's already there. Is it the mentoring program? Is it a student leadership group? Is it happening in advisors? Is it happening in homework? Is it small lunch clubs, right? There are lots of, is it happening in your classroom? But finding a space to really utilize these 10 points and present and share the information that we know our students need. We have our CCR advisor trainings. Rick mentioned that in the opening. This is an opportunity to train more people. How many of you are counselors? Can you get to every single student the way that you want to? No, you're human, I think. But, you know, so part of this initiative, the resource that we want to share is really talking to more people in your school, in your communities, your families, students, to give them the tools that they need to encourage and inspire. That's, you know, what we're talking about at Soundview. Make pull more people into the conversation, because our counselors can't do it all. At least probably not the way that they really want to. I mentioned already before that sometimes if you're not sure where to start with students, talking about careers first is a really good angle. Students get careers. They understand that after high school, they might not know what their pathway is, but they know they probably need a job. Career. They know they need to make money somehow. So that's something they can kind of relate to, even though it's further off than their pathway. The relevance, like I said, the language, connecting it to everything that they're doing so students and people in your school understand why we're doing it. Using different outlets, Parent Square, Facebook, social media platforms, pushing information out. This is especially important to create that community, college and career readiness community among your staff, faculty, the buy-in that we need, but also to get information out to families. August Aarons does a beautiful job of this. They have a space on their website that's dedicated to pushing out the resources, and it's not just CFPS resources, but they're college and career readiness resources. We can't guarantee that every single family member is reading them, but it's accessible to them. It's there. And it's a place that they're starting to get into the habit of going to. Virtual tours, professional speaking about different career options, financial literacy, essential skills. So it's coming up with ways to push information out so that it's going beyond what the students are getting in your school. And then being creative and kind of addressing these challenges that we know we face every single day. And beyond that, using CFBS, using the practices, the 10-point plan as a vehicle to help you navigate those challenges, especially obviously as it relates to college and career. So those are just some thoughts. Hannah and I and John were in schools all the time. We're happy to talk more about what the 10-point plan looks like for you specifically, and you all have program directors that can support that as well. Our program directors, the expectation is that when we're visiting your schools, we're supporting the implementation of this plan. That's our job. We're not saying here are 10 objectives, go do it. We are a part of this process. We want to be, and we ought to be, because we want to help you. We realize you're stretching to 1,000 different directions. So every time your program person is visiting, we're making sure that we're helping you meet at least one, but we all know there's a lot of overlap, right? So we're hitting a lot of those points. We have incredible virtual resources on our website in that member section. We have constantly, it's virtual tours, it's webinars, it's student workshops, and they're all archived. So when I said earlier, tap into the experts, it's not just the in-person experts. We have so many virtual opportunities for students, for families, for educators. Tapping into the partnerships, college partnerships, corporate partnerships, community partnerships, using them as the resources. We talked a lot about just commonality in the language, so students are making that connection. Educators in the building are making that connection. And then lastly, more about our resources, knowing where to find resources that we can offer. And again, we can talk more about that if you're unsure of how to access those resources on our website, or if you need anything else. So our session is in, you're probably happy to get out of this room. It's starting to feel really hot in here. And but we will stick around for a couple minutes if anyone has questions for us. Otherwise,
You said we were gonna talk about something with the CPR map.
oh, yeah. I did mention. So I did mention the map, the scholar map, this is all in on my website, if students do this, they're getting all of these. So it's completely aligned. We did something. It's different from the original. Thank you, everyone, enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you.